Hey guys, want to bring you another YouTube video. So I want to reflect and let you know I actually went to the Charlie Kirk memorial service, and it was really a challenge. Lots of things. For them to put it within a week together was pretty awesome and amazing. I know over I think they said 100 million people watched it, and they said reportedly 200,000 in the area of the stadium and the overflow of the stadium next door, and also people that couldn't get in. It was definitely full. You definitely felt the Holy Spirit, and the atmosphere was, I would say, amazing. I've gone to WrestleMania, different events, never Super Bowl, but just watching the Super Bowl, it's not a crazy atmosphere. WrestleMania is pretty cool, but you just felt something special going on that day. It was definitely a long day. Don't get me wrong, because um, I got an email the day before saying plans kind of changed from Turning Point USA, saying that, hey, doors are going to be open now. Instead, for parking was going to be 5 a.m. Before, it was going to be 7 a.m. to be able to allow, no, actually, sorry, 6 a.m. to park, I believe. No, sorry, 7 a.m. to park, and then 8 p.m. for doors opening. So they changed the doors opening at 7 p.m. So it was a 2 hour change on the parking opening, and then a change on the doors opening. So because I got it at around 10 o'clock, and I was thinking of going to bed. I was originally going to try to leave the hotel at 6, but because of that last minute email, I was deciding, okay, if I'm going to secure a seat to get in, I will leave at, I left the hotel at 4:30 instead of 5. Yeah, so around 5. But obviously, that, like I said, thankfully I got that email before going to bed, and that text to check my email. Especially if you didn't register for Turning Point USA, you probably would have not gotten that, because if you watch the local news or any news outlet, they had the time not updated for everybody. So just getting there. Also, normally it would be 4.5 hours to get to Phoenix, but on the way there was an accident on the 93, and then had to pretty much detour because it was a horrible accident. You can look it up if you want, but there was some people dead. Unfortunately, it was, and I was pretty close to it, almost witnessing it from what I've been told, and how many cars I was away from it. So we were told the cleanup was going to be about minimum 3 hours or longer. So decided to try to find a detour, which was really hard. Found detour that took about additional, I would say, 3.5 hours total that I added. I guess to say that I saw of Arizona, it was, I would say, 48 hours. I only probably got 10 hours of sleep, which is very wild. I was running on a lot of adrenaline and caffeine. And honestly, I lost my appetite after that accident that I witnessed, because I saw, like I said, a dead body, or now I know a dead body, but there was, at the time, I saw someone trying to give CPR to someone from, I was, like I said, probably about 15 to 20 cars from where it took place. So after that, my stomach was queasy, so it was like a lot was going on. But in the end, I would say it was really worth it going. As a Christian father, I got a lot to work on, especially Erica's um, speech was very touching, and I would say I would be more like Trump if that happened to me. I think as a regular person, you would be really upset. But again, what she said, and I guess Charlie and Erica was perfect for each other because they actually practice what they preach and believe in the book. And I mean, they are living it because she forgave the shooter. And like I said, if that was me, it would be really hard. But I know, just like in the Bible, you're supposed to forgive your enemies and all that, and pray for your enemies. I mean, I could pray for my enemies and stuff like that, but for something like that, it would have been really hard to like forgive in that scenario. So again, if you watched it and you felt it, I would say it definitely, you could feel that atmosphere with the Holy Spirit there. The energy, there was no incidents from where I was, from getting in to leaving. There was no fights, there was no riots, but there is an outlet very close where I parked. Walking to the stadium, I had to go through the outlet there, and so from there, if there was, I guess after you left the stadium to go to the car, I guess they closed the outlet thinking there could be potential protests or riots or anything like that. There was none of that. I don't know why you would post that. But I guess they were precautionary because of what was taking place in the left. I mean, I don't blame them because you'd rather be safe than sorry, I guess. But I guess that's what kind of shows the difference. On the right, you're praying, you're leaning on your faith in God, and unlike the left, like I really do think because that their action speaks louder than words by how they try to take out their opponents. And I mean, the first time didn't succeed with Trump, and then now you finally succeeded and you show your true colors. And part of there, when I was there, I was always torn. Like, I finally posted photos, and I figured, you know what? It's Charlie had. I guess if you saw it, it was more when they played that video of the courage, and where courage is not very hard. You just have to say yes. And so that is where I was like, you know what? If you don't say something, I would say, yeah, it might be because it's going to be hard to see yourself in the mirror, not to speak up and say something that you know is right in your heart. And so I was like, you know what? Photos speak a lot louder. It says 1,000 words, that old saying. And so I didn't say anything, on my Facebook except post photos of the event, checked in, and then also post photos from that Saturday of Turning Point USA with the outpouring, and met kind people. Everybody came from different parts of the country. I would say I probably talked to probably at least 50 to 75 people that were different parts of the country. The furthest one I met was from Canada, from Edmonton, Canada. Never been there, but I know that's a far part of the country. But I've heard some other people said they met some people from Europe, Asia. I mean, people were traveling all over. There was a huge presence from the media. Like I said, Elon Musk was a big surprise. I didn't know he was there until after leaving for the event. I would say this definitely challenged me and revitalized and felt the Holy Spirit. And again, it makes me try to commit more like what Charlie was and what he believed, to be a better husband, better Christian, better person overall. And then same like Erica, like challenge to be a better person in that sense. To if that ever happens, God forbid, but like you have to be ready to pray and forgive your enemies in that sense. And so, like, that's a big contrast you could see with Erica and with Trump, especially after Trump spoke. I would have honestly thought Trump should have been probably not last, but before Erica. I thought Erica's speech was hands down the best speech, especially when she said she forgave her shooter. That, like, everybody around me, there was not a dry eye when she said that. I mean, I I've told my wife there's only been 2 times and thank God. I mean, I haven't lost anyone like very significant or big where I've lost a young friend, fraternity member. He was young, but it's not like big impact that touched or changed or projected my life and challenged me in that sense, I would say. But I would say my adopted grandma that adopted my dad to help bring him to this country. And then also, I would say, as someone that I didn't know very closely, but like from watching videos, testimonies, and stuff like that, and his debates, I would say Charlie Kirk was. Those are the two. Like, I didn't think it was going to be, but it also meant that bullet in that assassination felt like, because he spoke for the voiceless, I would say, for the Christians that always thought, man, we're getting canceled, we have to watch out. I don't even speak out that much, and I've even been called racist and fascist, which is crazy, because if you really know me, you would know I'm far from that. So it's like, that's what the media uses, and no one's perfect. I've told no, you should not ever agree with anyone 100% on anything, but we should be able to agree to disagree and have civil conversations and debates. That's what was able to happen before all this internet, social media back then, and now you can't even have any of that without being afraid. I'm commending Turning Point USA to carry on. It will be interesting to see who's going to be knowledgeable enough to be able to debate and go out there. I feel like they should be able to find someone that's going to be capable of doing it, because there was a lot of young people out there that might meet the challenge, I feel like. But let me know what you thought. I am always open to open dialogue. Whether you agree or disagree with them, I definitely understand. Again, that's freedom of speech. We should always be able to agree to disagree in that sense. Like I said, I've never agreed 100% with anyone, and that's should always work. But it should always be healthy conversations. Like I said, I was at peace losing some friends on Facebook because I pretty much checked in and went to the event. And I like I said, before I close this video, this is what I mean, which is crazy. I had 284 friends on Facebook. After I posted and checked later that evening, I'm down to 280. And I figure, you know what, they must have not been my real friends anyway, and it's not a big loss if that's the case, if you're going to go that route, which is fine, because after meeting so many great people that wasn't violent or anything like that, and the love and outpouring, I'd rather get new friends or earn new friends that way, for people that agree and be able to praise music and worship and be able to not be, even though, like I said, we were in that crowd, we were there for the same cause. I mean, I met a guy that liked different sports teams, but he was able to agree that the Yankees was very classy on how they honored Charlie Kirk. So that's what we got to see. I think I'm still hopeful. I try to be optimistic at this point, and you'll see your true colors of your friends and stuff like that, colleagues. But again, we'll see what comes out of this. I think really that his comparison with Stephen is pretty good from the Bible. Ben Carson, with his knowledge of, I didn't know this, like Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:24, and he quoted on John 12:24, which is pretty eerie and similar with that example. If you're not familiar with it, what Ben Carson said, go ahead and look it up, watch his speech. That was another good one, dropping some knowledge that way. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so, and together we could build better tomorrow. And then I'll have more photos and videos probably throughout the week. Thanks.